Ullangya Sindhoha Salilam Salilam Yashokavannим Janakatmajayaha Adayatenaiva Dadaha Lankam Namamitam Pranjali Ranjaneyam Manojavam Maruta Tulyavegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtam Padatmajam Manarayutamukhyam Sriramadutam Shirasa Namami Uttirbhalam Yasodeityam Nirbhayatvam Arogata Ajatyam Vakpatutvancha Hanumat Smaranat Bhavet. Imagine when we are driving a car towards a destination which is not clearly known, and therefore we need a map. And imagine the map is not clean and the map is very dirty. On top of it, imagine a partner who is highly distracting. And on top of this, there is excess baggage in the car. It is highly unlikely that we can drive successfully to the destination. In life's journey too, it is important that we try to avoid all these three things. Extending this metaphor, the intellect in our life's journey is like the map. Our mind is the distracting partner. And of course, we carry too much of excess baggage in this journey. Some of the fringe benefits, the pleasures that we experience as we go along this journey are actually like the excess baggage. Unless the map is cleaned, unless the intellect is cleaned, there cannot be clarity of thought, discriminative intelligence that helps us prioritize things, cut through the trivialities, focus on the priorities, make right choices. The right choices that will keep us on the track, on the path to the destination. Clarity of intelligence, therefore, is a prerequisite for a successful journey. Similarly, the mind by design is a distracting partner. If we allow this partner, this mind, to keep us distracting, there is no way that we can stay on course. So taking the metaphor of while driving the car, the same metaphor of the unclean map, the distracting partner and excess baggage. In life's journey too, we need the intellect, which is the map, to be clean and clear all the time in order for us to make the right choices. We need the mind, which by design is a distracting partner, to cooperate. The distractor needs to be transformed into a supporter. The mind needs to be purified. Only when the mind is pure, it can become a supporter and not remain a distractor. And talking of excess baggage, These are various kinds of possessions and some of the fringe benefits that we experience on this journey. The problem with these fringe benefits, various kinds of pleasures, various kinds of comforts that we get to experience in this journey is that many times they too hold us back from moving forward, hold us back from pursuing the larger goals in life. Therefore, just like how we must avoid excess baggage in this car, we must avoid also getting held back by these fringe benefits. It's important to understand that pleasant things are not necessarily good. And especially when something pleasant comes in the way of executing our duty. Pleasant should be considered as bad and not good. And this is what Hanuman teaches us. A seeker needs dirghadrishti, foresight. Although the golden mountain Mainaka offers Hanuman a glittering proposal, Hanuman keeps his vision focused on the goal of devotion. He avoids the fringe benefits. He has clarity of intelligence. And he has a mind which is a supporter and not a distractor. No wonder Hanuman succeeds in his journey. We paused at the very moment last week where Hanuman managed to overcome the distraction, the obstacle that came in the form of Mount Mainaka. Vegavanta plavantoye plavanga aurutatmajaha tesham mukyatamam manye tvamaham kapikunjaraha. Mainaka is glorifying Hanuman. Hey Hanuman, you are Vanarottama. You are very respectful. You are Vayuputra. You are the one and only one who is capable of flying long distances. Atitihi kila pujarha prakrutopi vijanatha dharma jignasamanena kim punastvadrisho mahan. Every guest needs to be honored. This is what the Shastras teach. And if the guest happens to be somebody exalted like you, how can I miss out on the opportunity and not serve you? I want to serve you, offer hospitality to you. And therefore, Mainaka extends a seat of comfort, a place where Hanuman can rest, relax, relish all the food that Mainaka has to offer. And we saw how Hanuman did not get distracted. Shramam mokshaya pujam cha grihana kapisattama pritim cha bahumanyasya pritos vidavadarsanam. Reduce your fatigue, hey Hanumanta. Accept my worship. And please, I would love for you to spend time with me. Eva muktva kapisreshtasvam nakottama abravit pritosmi kutamadityam manyuresho piniyatam. Hanuman, having listened to Mountain Mainaka's plea, said, I'm very happy to accept your hospitality, but you need to know that I have something more important. I have a priority. Resting is not my priority. I need to accomplish my mission that I have undertaken. Tvarate karyakalote ahaschapyativartate pratignya cha maya datta nastatavya vihantare. I cannot stand here in the middle of performing my duty. I cannot neglect my duty in the middle. I have undertaken, I've started something until I complete it. I cannot stop. I cannot neglect my duty, and therefore you have to understand. It's Hanuman says, Ityukta panina shailamalabhya haripungavaha Jagama Akashamavishya Vidyavan Prahasanniva. Hanuman did something very intelligent. On the one hand, Mainaka was very respectful in her offer to Hanuman. Therefore, Hanuman also cannot disregard Mainaka completely. He also has to handle the situation very carefully. At the same time, he cannot also not rest and waste time. So what does Hanuman do? Now, this is what Valmiki glorifies Hanuman as one who has the true mati. Here, mati is resourceful intelligence, not ordinary intelligence. Hanuman, he decides to respect Mainaka, and at the same time, he also has to move on. Valmiki says, Yuttutva Panina Shailamalabhya Haripungavaha Jagama Akashamavishya Vidyavan Prahasanniva. You know, in the way of accepting Mainaka's offer, it seems Hanuman touches her. So all that Mainaka asks, please stay with me, land on me, and stay for a while. So symbolically landing on her by touching her. He touches her and says, I've touched you, I've accepted your hospitality, now thank you, now let me move on, let me go. No, he accepts her offer, but did not waste time reveling in the comforts that Mainaka had to offer. He was sensitive to Mainaka's feelings. He did not break. You know, he was not disrespectful, Mainaka. He was very sensitive. At the same time, he was also alert enough, alert to do his duty. And that there we see resourceful intelligence of Hanuman being demonstrated. So Parvata Samudrabhyam Bahumanada Vekshitaha Pujitaschopamanabihi Ashirvira Nilatmajaha Anilatmaja Ashirbihi Anilatmajaha. Mainaka had no words, but only words of blessing to Hanuman. What can Mainaka do? She was overtaken, she was taken aback, not only by Hanuman's humility, but also his intelligence. And therefore, Mainaka ended up blessing him abundantly. Now, here again, we see how the mental blocks that we have whenever we move along, which come in the form of various kinds of distractions and pleasures. The obsession to reach any goal, a worthy goal, the obsession will automatically melt all the blocks that come in the way. So this is what Hanuman's single-minded obsession on the worthy goal of discovering Sita helps them easily overcome the obstacle called Mainaka. Uyaschordhvam katim prapya girim tamavalokayanne vayusunirlavambe jagava vivalam harehe tat vitiyam hanumanto drishtva karma sudushkaram pasham susuras sarve siddhascha parameshayaha. All the devatas, all the siddhas, the charanas, all the divine beings are overwhelmed. The Hanuman, because they have all been waiting for this glorious feat to be accomplished. So they say Hanuman now has successfully overcome two obstacles. The first obstacle was taking that giant leap to cross over the ocean. The second is overcoming the obstacle that has come in the form of Mainaka. So they're all pleased and they're all celebrating Hanuman's second victory. And they also are very pleased with Mainaka, because Mainaka also in a way has respectfully engaged with Hanuman, and in this way Mainaka also has earned reputation of somebody being supportive of a higher cause. Ramasyaisha hitayaiva yati dasharather harihi sakriyam kurvata tasya toshitosmi dridam tvaya. Devendra looks at Mainaka and says, I'm very pleased with you, hey Mainaka, that you have tried to support Hanuman, who was engaged in executing Ramakarya. Now, Hanuman has now overcome two obstacles. The first obstacle, the ocean, taking that leap was a gross obstacle. The second obstacle is more subtler obstacle, which came in the form of comforts. The first was very tough. The second was sensitive. The first obstacle needed external power. The second obstacle needed internal alertness of mind. The first needed ability. The second needed absolute focus on the goal. Now Hanuman is now with renewed vigor after speaking to Mainaka, is now flying high in the sky. Now the Devatas also want to do one more test, and therefore the Devatas, in the form of testing Hanuman, they speak to Surasa, the mother of Nagas. Then they say, Surasa, why don't you create another obstacle for Hanuman? Let us test. To here they want to see, will Hanuman, when he comes across one more obstacle, will he start complaining, resenting, grieving, or is he going to use his intelligence and win over another obstacle? Therefore, they request Surasa to create another obstacle in the way of Hanuman. Hanuman hasn't flown too far before something starts to come out. He starts to witness something very unique. Something that does not belong to the ocean suddenly starts to come out of the ocean. What the sight that Hanuman sees is ghastly, slimy, monstrously mammoth. He sees something which is humongous in size. He sees a demoness laid sprawled in front of him on the ocean bed, huge in size. And he also sees that this demoness has its mouth wide open, and the worst thing is the odor coming out of the mouth is nauseating. It's so obnoxious that the odor itself is enough to kill. Now Hanuman now comes across Surasa, and as he approaches Surasa, Surasa addresses Hanuman. No, thunderous address. Mama Bhaksha Padishtastvamesishwaran Vanarashabha Aham Tvam Bhakshayishyami Pravideshitam Mamanam. She says, hey Vanara, you have now become my food. No, Devas have sent you as my food. And whoever I come across, they cannot escape. They have to become my food. You have no choice. Eva Mukta Surasaya Pranjalir Vanarashabha Vrishtabadana Shriman Idam Vachanam Abravit. Again, Hanuman very respectfully approaches Surasa. With folded hands, he says, hey, Surasa, you must understand. Hanuman gives her a quick background. Dasharati, the son of Dasharatha, Rama, who has lost Sita Mata, who was abducted by Ravana, and here I am going on a mission in search of Sita. And therefore, you need to realize that you cannot come in my way. You cannot now be an obstruction in the way of executing Rama's mission and discovering Sita. Tasya sakasham dutoham gamishye ramakaranat kartumarhasi ramasya sahyam vishayavasani. He says, I'm going for Rama's sake as a messenger, and you are expected to help and not come in my way. Athava maitilim drishtva ramam chakilishtakarinim agamishyamite vaktam satyam pratishrunomite. Hanuman makes a promise. Hey, Surasa, let me make a promise. If you still insist that you have to eat me, let me make a promise. Allow me to accomplish my mission. Allow me to go all the way to Lanka to discover Sita Mata, convey Rama's message, and allow me to take back Sita Mata's message back to Rama. And then once that mission is accomplished, I will come back to you and I will give myself up to you. You can then consume me. I can become your food then, but not now. But then Surasa is very adamant. No, I have a boon. I have a boon given by Brahma that whosoever comes to me cannot escape from becoming my food. They have to go inside my mouth. pravishya vadanam medhyak gantavyam anarottama varayesha puradatto mamadhatteti satvara yadaya vipulam vaktram stitasa maruto puraha. Okay, but Vanara, you are bound to go inside my mouth. You have to. There is no, whoever comes in, there is no exit. They have to come in. There is no going back. This is a boon that I have, and therefore you have no other choice other than becoming my food. Hanuman looks at Surasa and then immediately takes a decision. Now, this is not the way to handle it. Looking at Surasa's open mouth, wide open, Hanuman starts to grow in size. Hanuman takes a huge form and grows 10 yojanas tall, 10 yojanas long he grows. Surasa looks at Hanuman, says, if you grow 10 yojanas, I will grow 20 yojanas. Surasa starts to grow. Keeping her mouth wide open, Surasa grows 20 yojanas high. Then Hanuman looks at her and says, if you grow 20 yojanas high, I can grow even more. And he grows 30 yojanas high. Surasa doesn't let go. She starts growing 40 yojanas high. Hanuman says, if you can grow 40 yojanas high, I can grow 50 yojanas high. Surasa says, if you can grow 50 yojanas, I can grow 60 yojanas. So they keep competing here, growing in size. Then suddenly something strikes Hanuman. He realizes that outdoing her is a futile exercise here. There is no point in here. Whatever I do, she's trying to outdo. There is no point in competing here. Tadrishtva vyaditam twastvam vayuputra subuddhiman dirghajihvam surasaya sughoram narakopamam susamkshiptamanaha kayam babhuva angushtamattrakaha. Angushta. Suddenly Hanuman makes a decision. From that huge size, all of a sudden he reduces his size instantaneously. Angushtamattrakaha. In size of a angushta, a thumb, small in size, and in a jiffy, taking that small, looking at the wide open mouth of Surasa, enters the mouth, and then so vipatyashu tadvaktram nishpatya cha mahajaha antarikshe stita sriman idam vachanam abravit. With great speed, before even Surasa could realize what's going on, with great speed, taking this size of a thumb, he enters Surasa's mouth and he comes out instantaneously and addresses it. Pravishtos hite vaktram dakshayani namostute kamishye yatra vaidehi satyam chasi satyam chasi dvarastavaha. Immediately addresses Surasa and says, O doctor, O daughter of Daksha, I indeed entered your mouth, and as per your request, your boon also has been taken care of. Therefore, I have helped you in a way that your boon is also not broken. At the same time, I have also successfully come out. Now it's time for me to move on. Atta siddhyo harisreshta gaccha saumya yatha sukham samanasva vaidehim ragavena mahatmanaha. Now, Surasa is very pleased with Hanuman. Hey, Hanuman, go according to your plan. Now, I am no longer here to obstruct you. You have once again, you have used your intelligence to overcome this obstacle as well. Move on. Success shall be yours. You will discover Vaidehi, blesses Surasa. Now, here again, the test of valor, caliber, skill, presence of mind, intelligence of Hanuman once again is demonstrated, and Hanuman passes this test in flying colors. Once again, all the devatas are celebrating this success of Hanuman. So here we see another important, a very, very difficult obstacle that Hanuman crosses here. The obstacle of what we can call competitive mentality. Many a times, people like Surasa love to instigate the sense of competition in us. Always, instigating this feeling that we need to prove our superiority over others. A competitive mentality. Unfortunately, we are all gripped with this mentality of competition. Always competing against others, trying to forces us to think that victory is in life is all about proving and establishing that we are superior, we are better to others. This mentality is so fierce that it keeps us dragging down all the time. It's a negative force that keeps us moving forward. We see how Hanuman lets go of the desire to establish superiority over Surasa. He realizes the futility of establishing superiority over Surasa. So he embraces the desire to prioritize his mission. He embraces his desire to prioritize his mission over the desire to establish superiority. He overcomes this competitive mentality, which is a negative force which keeps us dragging away from our path towards our destination, dragging us away from obtaining worthy goals in life. So this is because of the inner obstacle of pride. Hanuman, who grew in size, when he instantaneously also grew small, also shows how he managed to overcome his own pride, stop competing with Surasa, and he realized that in life, to truly win, one should not compete, one should focus on contributing. It is focus on competition will drag us down. Focus on contribution will help us move forward. Hanuman gives us a very powerful formula for success. To truly win in life, do not compete, just contribute. A very, very important life lesson that we learn from Hanuman. Also, when Surasa asked Hanuman to give up his body, become food, she was also presenting a very, very difficult case for Hanuman. Hanuman, after all, you are detached in life, and therefore, why should you be attached to your body? You, of all the people, you are one of those Mahatmas who realize that body is something which needs to be completely given up. And therefore, when I seek your body as a food, you should be ready, and you should be ready to give up. Now, Hanuman here demonstrates another important lesson. Detachment is important, but at the same time, detachment also has to be complemented with resourceful intelligence. Now, we all know that the body is like a boat that helps us cross over the ocean of samsara. But until we cross over the ocean of samsara, the boat is needed. The boat cannot be discarded. The boat cannot be ignored. The boat cannot be given up. Staying detached does not mean giving up the boat while we are on the course of journey crossing over samsara. The boat will be given up. The attachment to the boat has to be given up completely once we reach the shore. But until reaching the shore, one needs the boat. So therefore, resourceful intelligence is to understand here that the body is a vehicle. So Hanuman very clearly, therefore, also tells Surasa that I'm ready to give up this body. I'm not attached to it, but I need to accomplish my mission and I shall come back. So another important lesson a seeker like Hanuman teaches us when he overcomes this obstacle that has come in the form of Surasa. Now, Hanuman, with renewed vigor, renewed energy, after overcoming Surasa is flying high in the sky. As he keeps flying over the ocean, all of a sudden, he suddenly freezes. Hanuman is now stuck mid-air. No matter how much he tries, he is unable to move an inch forward. He is unable to move neither forward nor backward, neither upward or downward. Completely frozen mid-air. He suddenly sees there is a force that is pulling him down so very intensely. he is now experiencing a free fall. A free fall, and is experiencing a pull so very intense that he is dragged all the way down towards the ocean. Hanuman is shocked, not knowing what's happening. Ravamanam tutam drishtva sindhika nama rakshasi manasa chintayamasa pravruddha kamarupini atyadidghayasya kalasya bhavishyamyahamashita idam hime mahasattvam charasa vashamagatam. There is a demoness, Simhika, who after a long time has now come across food, and therefore this Simhika is a shadow grabber. So therefore, casting a spell on Hanuman, she starts to grab Hanuman's shadow, and in the form by grabbing Hanuman's shadow, she also grabs him with intense force, that Hanuman experiences free fall from the skies and starts to fall down towards her mouth. And Hanuman realizes now, as he looks at Simhika, he knows, because earlier Sugriva had warned, Tad drishta chintayamasa marutir vikrutanam kapirajena katitam sattvam adbhuta darshanam chayagrihi mahaviryam tadidam natra samshayaha. This chayagrahi, shadow grabber. Sugriva earlier had informed of the dangers of crossing the ocean. It comes to Hanuman's mind. This must be that Simhika, who is the shadow grabber, who has cast her spell on Hanuman. Agrahi mahaviryam tadidam natra samshayaha satam udbhartatvena simhikam matikan makapihi yavadatta mahakaya pravurshiva mahalaka. He then increased his body size. Hanuman knows that now he has to now fight this shadow grabber immediately before she overpowers him. So just like how a cloud grows in size in a rainy season, Hanuman once again started to grow his body. But then he also saw that Simhika is also not easy to be overthrown, and therefore he realized the problem. No, a problem which is well understood is a problem which is well solved. Hanuman realizes that he has to fight her differently, and he immediately, just like as he starts to grow his body, also immediately shrinks, and then with all force, Hanuman accelerates his pace. Simhika is attacking Hanuman, coming all the way to grab him with her mouth, and Hanuman, assuming a tiny form, accelerates his pace and enters Simhika's mouth much faster than she anticipates. With great pace, he not only enters her mouth, starts growing deep inside her. As he keeps going deep inside her, he also simultaneously keeps shrinking his size. He keeps going. While he is going inside, with the sharp nails, he starts to keep poking all her internal organs. He reaches her belly, tears it apart, and then comes out, piercing her stomach and pulling all the innards out. And then Simhika was dead even before she realized it. And then Hanuman, Yasya Tvetari Chatvari Manarendra Yata Tava Dhritir Drishtir Matir Dakshamsa Karmasuna Nasidati. All the Devas, the Danavas, the Siddhas, the Yakshas, the Gandharvas, the Chanaras, all are celebrating Hanuman's glory. They're saying there are 4 key attributes that Hanuman has demonstrated while on this leap across the ocean. Dhritihi, Drishtihi, Matihi, Darkshya. Dhriti, the Dhriti, his courage, his steadfastness. Matihi, his resourcefulness, his resourceful intelligence. Drishti, his far-sightedness, focus on the goal, and his Daksham, resourcefulness, his skill. Demonstrating all this 4, Hanuman has once again successfully overcome the next obstacle as he keeps flying higher across the ocean, reaching his destination. Now, one thing we learn from Simhika here is how not to envy. Simhika is a force of envy. The force of envy always tries to keep pulling us back, pulling us down. Hanuman, force of envy is that force which plots for another's failure. Instead of celebrating others' success, envy plots the failures of others. And it is very important to be watchful. And just like how Hanuman was very watchful and resourceful in overcoming this force of envy, one needs to be, in order to be successful in this journey, needs to be watchful of these negative forces. And the 4 attributes of Hanuman: Tritihi, Drishtihi, Matihi, Daksha. The 4 forces, the 4 important attributes that are required for accomplishing any journey successfully. And as Hanuman demonstrates this, he crosses across the ocean and lands on Lanka successfully. As he lands, he witnesses a glorious sight. He starts to examine Lanka and he starts to look at every detail that is presented to him in the form of the glorious kingdom of Lanka. What Hanuman does next, let us contemplate. While we wait for Hanuman's next move, let us contemplate on the 4 important attributes for successful accomplishment, successful completion of any journey. Tritihi, Drishtihi, Matihi, Dakshyam. Hanuman is the very embodiment of all these 4 noble qualities. Buddhirbalam Yashodevyam, Yathayatvam Arogata, Ajatyam, Bhakpatutvancha, Hanumat Smaranat Bhavet. Jai Shri Ram.